I saw that new Star Wars film, Solo. It was crap.
Fuck's sake, do your fucking job!
Fine.
Oh yeah, I love the taste of corporate cock in my mouth. Another Star Wars film already. It's only been a few months since we had the red-hot poker colonoscopy that was The Last Jedi. You've probably heard of Solo, or rather, you've heard the industry drama surrounding it. Where to begin? How about the two original directors getting fired because Kathleen Kennedy was feeling menopausal that day? How about most of the film getting reshot, causing an increased budget? Or that the lead had an acting coach during the reshoots because he can't act for toffee, yet the suits lacked the integrity to hire a competent replacement. Then there was the lukewarm reception to the bland trailers, and to appeal to China, Disney renamed the movie for them to Ranger Solo. But China is so indifferent to Star Wars, the film could be 3 hours of TV static, and you'd still get the same audience response. Then there was the little matter of stealing someone else's poster designs for a movie that probably should have been canned long ago. Solo might as well have been dead on arrival, but it's Star Wars, so it got made regardless, and the masses will still watch it. Who cares? Let's pedantically pick this fucker apart. We start the film in the slums of Detroit, where we meet the young version of Han Solo, Alden Ehrenreich, and his girlfriend Kira, Emilia Clarke, ripping off gangsters for a piddly fuel cell. Disney want to establish the bad boy trope immediately, so we have Solo recklessly driving around while the totty next to him moistens. The high-speed chase ends with Han and Kira trying to escape some gangsters at a spaceport, only for Kira to get captured. Han's desperate to get his wooden girlfriend back, so he joins the Imperial Army because they have the snazziest uniforms, of course. Good job they happened to be recruiting that day.
It's also at this point that Han Solo gets his surname. When he signs up because he's alone and an orphan, the admin guy gives him the surname Solo. So now you know, film fans, where he got his name from. He got it from some trite bureaucracy. Ugh. Worth the ticket price alone for that amazing revolution.
A few years pass and Han goes to war and gets PTSD, just like Finn did in The Force Awakens. And just like Finn, he quickly brushes it off and it never affects him again. He's now jaded and wants to get his thought back. And as an armchair psychologist, I can see that little orphan Hanny develops abandonment issues and seeks out the affections of an older man. Woody Harrelson, to be precise. Should have got your twink-aster Stephen Fry. At least he's rich. Han wants to become, awesome and stuff, so he joins a ragtag team of gangsters who want to rip off the Imperials. Under the tutelage of Woody, Han becomes a wet-behind-the-ears cocky smuggler. Or at least tries to be. Alden Ehrenreich seems to be doing a Han Solo impression like he lost a drunken bet. He doesn't really ooze the charm or roguishness of the original Han Solo. He just oozes, and he gums up every scene with expressions ranging from awkward, smirky cock to just existing and consuming everyone's oxygen. Those acting lessons really paid off. I can just imagine how those went down.
Up and at them.
Up and at 'em.
Up and at them.
Up and at 'em.
Up and at them.
He's not the worst offender either. Emilia Clarke's acting is fucking terrible. I say Emilia Clarke's acting, it's actually her eyebrows that do the bulk of it. These fuzzy-faced caterpillars can express fear, elation, and concern, whereas the skin blob they are attached to is just doing her Daenerys act from Game of Thrones because that's all she knows. I've noticed this trend of using ill-fitting Game of Thrones actors in any old film just because Game of Thrones is popular. Countless times I've seen cast members in films that didn't really suit them, and Solo is another example of this. Just because they were good in that particular TV show doesn't mean that your piece of shit movie is going to see the same success because of them. But it doesn't matter because nerds want to tongue-punch Emilia's fart box, and that gets more bums on theatre seats. I'm getting ahead of myself, though. The overarching plot is that Han and the gangsters are trying to eke out an existence doing crazy heists for fuel cells. Yes, Han's not trying to smuggle weapons, drugs, or aliens. No, those are bad things. Need Disney family-friendly smuggling. After becoming a turncoat whore, Han joins the gangsters for a CGI-fest train heist. Han also meets Chewbacca because he has to be in it. When Han meets Chewie for the first time, he can actually speak Wookiee. And as Alden Ehrenreich growled on screen, I curled up like a shrimp from the pure cringe of it all. So, a friendship for the ages is born that day. I always felt Chewbacca was more of an ancillary character, like C-3PO. He growls and beats people up. There isn't much depth to him. But this is how they first met, now you know, fans. Woody puts his team of archetypes to work. There's sassy black lady who got teleported from a 70s blaxploitation movie. Chewbacca is in it, obviously, for nostalgia and toy sales. Han the man, and a midget. And so begins a high-octane train heist with moments of action and peril as we fear for Han and Chewbacca's life, except it's a prequel, they'll be fine and grow old together. All sense of danger is diffused. The train heist comes under attack from some sort of over-designed video game character, but Ham Solo and chewing tobacco survive, but everything else goes tits up. With no fat loot, Woody's remaining crew go to seek out the crime lord Dryden Voss to help make things right. Oh, and Voss is also porking Kira. Yes, Amelia is back and she teams up with Han to create awkward attempts at sexual tension and pull funny faces. Strangely, their reunion is really underwhelming. Han endured war and near death to find her again, and out of pure happenstance she's at the Orange Piss Filter Lounge and they just kind of make small talk. I tell you, those acting lessons must have been something. A daring heist is planned because Woody Harrelson needs a fat payday. And in the film. A deal is brokered, and for more boring hijinks to ensue, they need a ship to pull this next heist off, and only one will do. The gang go to a shady, not poker game, and meet Donald Glover playing a wannabe cool gangster. That's the wrong footage, Mr. Editor. Still fitting. He's Lando Calrissian, the guy from the original films. Another callback established, tick those boxes. A high-stake game is played for Lando's ship, but Casino Royale it is not, as Amelia just circles around the game like a floater, Chewie is just grunting furniture, while Han and Lando mumble lines at each other. It feels very flat and boring. Han loses the game because Lando cheated, but Lando agrees to let him use his ship anyway. Convenient. The Millennium Falcon is revealed, and the scene has all the impact of a wet noodle. If maybe we hadn't seen this iconic ship in the previous movies so much, it would have been a good callback, but that card was played long ago, and it's all so tiresome now. So we get more of the same. Millennium Falcon flying around, shooting stuff, being awesome, making Disney money from nostalgia, and so on. Although, this version of the ship is different, because it has a metal slab stuck on the front. Wow! Disney innovation, everyone. We also meet Lando's female droid companion, the first according to clickbait. It's a robot, it can't have a sex, it has no genitals. That's like telling me my toaster is gay. If it's female, because it has a lady's voice, then it's not the first. Clickbait harder, you hack journalists. This insufferably smug feminist robot is called Leet. You know, like Leet speak from the early days of the internet. I'm sure the smartphone-wielding youth will get that dated reference. Not the weirdest name either. There's Enfy's Nest, a giant lobster called Therm Scissor Punch, and Argus Six Eyes Panox, because, you know, he has 6 eyes. What anencevalic moron wrote this shit? Also featuring our villain bad guy antagonisto. Ralph, I got 2 hands. Woody, fire my agent Harrelson. Han, flying solo, YOLO, gotta go solo. Tsar, face long Zippo. Captain Beat, dead horse. Big McLarch huge. Where was I? Yes, the multi-million-dollar cinematic feces. The crack team of characters we couldn't give a shit about go on to do their most daring heist yet. The Spice Mines of Kessel. Remember when Han Solo in A New Hope made an offhand comment about doing the Kessel Run? Well, that's a major plot point now. Easier to pad the story out with references and callbacks than actual substance. They reach Kessel, which according to lore is where an illicit drug is made out of spices, but that's not family friendly, so they're there for fuel. They free some slaves, grab fuel MacGuffin, and yes, things go tits up again. But at least they have unrefined fuel cells stashed on board the Millennium Falcon. And Han, rather than taking a back seat, gets to finally fly the bloody ship to do the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. The Imperials are in hot pursuit, and we get the obligatory spaceship battle. The Millennium Falcon flies through an action-packed computer-generated space while dodging laser fire and trying not to get groped by a tentacle monster. No, Disney, it's the Chinese audience you want, not the Japanese. Amelia's eyebrows and the gang escape to a planet to refine the fuel cells, and they come across Enfy's Nest and their gang. From the trailers, we assumed there would be a big showdown, but no, they just talk things out, and Lando buggers off with the Falcon. Enfys then reveals themselves to be a teenage girl with a voice modulator because, girls just want to have fun? I don't see how this is a big revelation other than subverting expectations in a cheap way. Enfys is working with the rebellion and is willing to give Han and co. fake fuel cells for Voss. But the deal goes tits up again. A fight ensues because Woody decides to screw them over in the deal. Han's mentor betrays him because, shock horror, it's the tired trope of someone telling you, don't trust anyone, who they themselves can't be trusted. After Voss is dispatched, Han goes to pursue Woody while Amelia holds back to have a Skype call with Darth Maul. I'm not joking. Darth Maul is alive and well after getting cut in half and is now a crime lord. If you watch the Disney animated crap, this won't be a surprise to you. But for those of us who do have sex, this is a weird out-of-place cameo. But you got to have those references because if the die-hard Star Wars fans aren't pulling this face, then you aren't doing your job right. Han and Woody have a showdown, and Han shoots him. Han shoots first. Get it? It's referencing the first Star Wars. I hope you're liking these references. My eyes rolled out of my head, but the film drags on as Han shows up for another card game with Blando Calrissian, and this time Han wins the Millennium Falcon. Film finally ends with Han and his new bromance flying off to Tatooine so he can work for a shady character. Oh, Mr. Editor, shame on you. As I watched this movie, there were times where I thought, maybe things will pick up, but every now and then...
We need to divert auxiliary power to the rear deflector shield.
We definitely do.
Shut the fuck up!
Stop chewing the scenery, you bitch!
The acting is just dreadful and ruins the whole movie. The original Star Wars movies weren't exactly Oscar-worthy, but they at least had classically trained actors to help prop up their co-stars. In Solo, it's just back and forth between wooden wankers, giving weird intonation to their lines and dispelling any shred of chemistry. The director, Ron Howard, has been very tame and mediocre with this film. Now, I appreciate that it's not your typical Star Wars film. At its heart, it's a generic heist movie in a Star Wars skin, and yet it feels limited by virtue of being a prequel. Solo doesn't really expand on Han's character, it just shows him acquiring his props, as it were. Gets his iconic blaster, his ship, and his co-pilot. His deeper story is in the old films. The whole film can be summed up as Han Solo does heists with diverse group of characters, gets iconic ship, new best friend is made of bum fluff. If you're not a Star Wars fan, you'll find this a middling movie let down by third-rate acting. If you are a fan of Star Wars, this movie will feel like a character assassination of Han Solo, as he is reduced to a smarmy, bumbling bumbox. There is a certain expectation of Han Solo that should be in this film. A self-serving scoundrel who doesn't care for the rebellion and politics. We don't really get a proper sense of that. The stiff acting, bad writing and pacing make the movie crawl. Solo had potential, and so much could have been done with the story, but it's bland and by the numbers. Competently shot in parts, sure, yet Solo is lacking some serious vigor to stand out. Just like the previous movies, it's all about referencing the old stuff and reusing elements from them. Is it a grand adventure that will retain cult status like the original films? Of course not. It's Disney blandness with a Star Wars sheen and a bit more wholesomeness added. These movies are made as family movies now, fun for all ages and inoffensive. You can bet the franchise will get more dumbed down for the Disneyland attractions. Got to lose that grittiness. You think they'll have an installation at Disneyland where you cut open a dead Tauntaun and have you hide inside it? Or a recreation of the Jedi Temple where you're given a lightsaber and can play whack-a-mole with younglings? Scantily clad alien girls for dad. Take a selfie with Aunt Beru's burning corpse. Probably not. Disney seems schizophrenic with the Star Wars franchise. They seem to want to cut ties with the original trilogy and do their own thing, but when push comes to shove for new material, they will retreat to the old Star Wars films and recycle shit for fresh stripper money. Rumor is there are more of these character spin-offs in the works, such as an Obi-Wan Kenobi film, and there's still more Star Wars to come. And of course, these movies will make money. As I've said before, you could have a jar of mayonnaise on screen with the word Star Wars on it, and people will still pay to see it. Even if the films are bad, people will still watch them to see how crap they are, and see what all the fuss is about. I'm tired of this shit, but even I bought a ticket to throw shade. Star Wars is deeply embedded into geek culture. Whether you love Star Wars or now love to hate it, everyone is talking about it, because social media is all about geek chic and amassing a load of these fucking annoying plastic doodads. Star Wars is not going away anytime soon. Disney know this, and they are banking on it. Shame the toys aren't selling like the tickets.
Oh yes, there will be spoilers in this review. Ah, pooh. Well, let the credits roll. Honestly, fuck Disney.
Forget everything you saw. You love Disney. Haha. See more Star Wars movies. Buy the merchandise. Buy tickets to Disney World. Haha. Consume it all. Legacy.
No one responds to me on Tinder. Are we still filming?